Hello, Apps here from Dimp Digital. Welcome to the Developers Lounge. I'm joined by Idris from Idris Makes Games. It's a great name, by the way. We are here to talk about Sprinter, which is an upcoming indie game that he's developing. Sprinter is currently on the Steam Greenlight, and Idris is going to give us an insight into what the game is and how it came to its inception and what we can expect from it. So Idris, let's start off. What was the genesis for Sprinter? How did you come up with this idea?
It's really hard to say. I think it was just like one night I kind of was just trying to build prototypes for my game, and I think the idea just popped into my head. I guess I've been obsessed with perfection in games.
Yeah.
I like the idea of doing something perfectly and getting that reward. And games like Super Meat Boy and Hotline Miami and things like that.
Yes.
Really inspired it. And yeah, I think when it comes to like me trying to figure out the genesis of my ideas, usually it feels like luck every single time, where I just think of something and it is a total fluke. I've got another story about that later, actually, towards the gameplay. But
yes,
there's So I had the idea of setting up the player to give them all the tools they need to make a perfect run through a level, and then give them that reward, hopefully. And I tried to execute it as best as I could, really.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a top-down action game, I guess, and I asked the player to effectively navigate the levels with a very kind of very well controlled, but also very very fast character,
yes,
which has a lot of momentum to it.
Yes.
So it's really about learning how to control him at the same time as learning how to navigate the obstacles within the level.
Yes.
And it's really about just executing that one perfect run to beat that time.
No.
And let me tell you how much I've tested those times on all those levels to make it perfect.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's really it's about that reward. I've played games all my life pretty much until I started developing. It's one of those tropes when you're a game developer that if you develop, you usually stop enjoying games.
Yeah.
Which I may have in the last few years.
You mentioned a game like Super Meat Boys. Are those the sort of games that you drew influences from? Not only because they were, big standout indie games, but the way that they play, and like you said, it's about getting that perfection, and it's the addictiveness of trying to get that perfect run.
Yeah, exactly. And it's never about me thinking about what would make a standout indie game. It's really I did this solely because I wanted to create a game that I would love.
Yes.
Like, very, very selfishly.
Yeah.
When I played Super Meat Boy and I got that feeling when I got all the A pluses in World 3, which made me want to kill myself at the same time. But when I finally got that feeling, it was just like that's the moment in gaming that happens so rarely, but it makes you like fall in love with the art form in a way.
Yeah.
Like it does something that no other art form can do. And when I look at the games industry as a whole, I feel like the reason why I did this was because I feel like I, as with all my skills put together that I've luckily run into throughout my life, could do something really original on that front and try and create the same feeling, but in a totally different way, in a totally different setting.
Yes.
And creating something personal was really important to me. I mean, this is a small game. But refined, and and I think it will offer someone a really good experience. But mostly it's personal. Mostly I never once thought, and this is against my dad's advice. My dad is a typical dad. My dad's like, oh, you got to find the mainstream audience.
Cool shit.
But I was just like, no, I need to create something that only I could create, and that what I really wanted to in the first place. And my dad's alright.
Yeah.
He's happy with me in the end, I think.
That's it, yeah. How long have you been developing Sprinter for? Has it been a few years, or?
Yeah, so I would say this game has been in development for 18 to 20 months. Let me think, 18 months. I would say 18 months. But I have been developing a game for 3 years. So effectively, the first 18 months was me failing spectacularly.
Right, okay.
Which was a beautiful experience.
Yeah, of course, it's a learning experience, isn't it?
Yeah. As much as it was devastating.
Yeah.
I wrote a blog after finally getting the prototype for Sprinter.
Yeah.
So after I finally got the prototype for Sprinter, I was like, okay, I can now talk about what I've just been through with my family and everyone, and so they won't force me to get a job and quit and do it. So I wrote a blog just detailing the first 18 months and how horrible it was.
Yeah.
and my parents rang me up and were just like, you know what, you're a stupid kid. They were not happy with me.
No, it's got to be done though, isn't it? You've got to follow that drive inside you to
Yeah.
get this thing done. And it's manifested itself in a great game. I've played half an hour of it so far, and I'm very impressed about what I've seen. It's got refined, like you said. The word refined sticks out for me when you was talking about it a minute ago, because the controls are spot on. There's no glitches or anything like that in it. It all works as it should do. And in a game that is reasonably difficult, it's fair because the mechanics work so well. And it's got that addictive nature of I'll just give it one more go. I'll just get to the end of this level, and then before I knew it, like my half hour was up, and it's time for me to sit down with you. And it was a great experience. I'm looking forward to other things that you can introduce. I mean, there's new mechanics that you introduce throughout the levels, and that's great in itself. Just quickly, what stage of the development are we at? I mean, I know it's not completely finished, but are you far away from finishing the final product?
I'm very close. So the build that you played is probably about 70% of the way through. I've got about 2 more chapters worth of content, which will really add to the complexity and the length of the game. But in terms of all the feature set that's there, all the menu systems, all the save systems, and all of the actual kind of mechanics and physics and systems, they're all complete. And I've just got a few more things to add on that front, but really it's all about just creating the content for the final 2 chapters. Once I got this 4-chapter prototype, I kind of wanted to just test it and get people to play it and see where I stood before I finished the final 2 chapters, to make sure that the final 2 chapters are perfectly designed and really elevate the game in the crescendo, I guess, if you'd say. But the storyboards are complete, and on the storyboards. So I got an amazing storyboard artist to work with me to basically tell a wordless story. So it's a story that's illustrated through panels. That tell basically between 3 family members. So a daughter called Rosie, a father Lyle, and a mother Emily. And it's showing the dynamic of their relationship from each of their perspectives through each of the chapters. So, and the color palettes and the sound palette will change depending on which character the story is being told from. And I really wanted to just do something ambitious in terms of narrative. Overall the story is kind of simple. It's not too dramatic. But I try and tell it through memory scenes, and then an actual kind of a mainline narrative in the middle that you see at the end of each level. So it kind of gives you 20 years of story throughout the whole family, from before Rosie is born to when she is like 18 and an adult. So I don't want to talk too much about that.
No, of course not.
I just hope it's a cherry on top of the gameplay and the aesthetic that kind of adds again just a little bit of originality to what I'm trying to do, and again it makes it really personal.
Absolutely. I mean, I find that the gameplay and the story and the soundtrack in particular, the sounds that you use in this game, all mesh together very well. That was one of the takeaways for me, is that it all works together in tandem. They're all working well together, and I think that's something to be commended, when a lot of the time one thing takes precedent over the other. I can, from my perspective, it looks like equal amounts of effort has gone into all 3 parts.
Yeah, awesome. I'm glad you think so.
So I mean, I mentioned you've got this great audio track and sounds that actually complement the gameplay as you work through the levels. I mean, that's a great soundtrack to have in there. How did you come up with that idea, and how easy or difficult was that to implement into a game that runs at quite a fast pace once you get up to speed?
Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge actually. So when I made this game, I always knew, and it would be the final thing that I would do. The music would always be the final stage. But I always knew the music would be the most important factor, because I've been one of my best skill is composing, and that's what I've been doing since I was a little kid. So we got the prototype ready, and my brother was playing it, and I had sound effects for like the doors and the cameras and distracting the guards and things like that. I had sound effects for all that stuff, like real life sound effects, and it just felt a bit off. And then I was literally playing on the piano while my brother was playing, and I was matching the notes as he was running through the levels, and I was like, hold on, that kind of works. So I changed the whole system. And then I recomposed the whole soundtrack to kind of allow for those notes while people are playing in the level, for those dynamic kind of activations to really build the melody as they're playing, and I think it's probably one of the key features of this game, and that's what I mean by ideas being fluke. It's one of those things that you just run into these things. and all of a sudden it just levels up what you have to an extent that you couldn't imagine in the beginning. So what I'm trying to say is I'm lucky.
You can't be good, you've got to be lucky at the end of the day, haven't you?
Yeah.
What platforms will this be available for? I mean, it looks like it's going to be on the PC, Linux, and Mac.
Yeah, so I'm aiming for PC, Linux, and Mac. Sorry, for launch because, well, just because I'm on my own development.
Yeah, of course.
I want to make sure that I can handle the workload and make sure that what I release is as glitch free as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
I did hear that you didn't see a glitch, right?
No, I didn't bump into any. All I
Awesome.
bumped into was my lack of ability, which is not a knock on the game itself. As I said, I think it's fair in the way that worked. So it'll be available on all three of those platforms. And that's a great insight into Sprinter. I mean, it does look like, and it plays very uniquely, and it's extremely interesting. Just want to let the guys know where they can vote for Sprinter on Steam Greenlight. I know if they want to get in contact with you, how they can do that, or how they can follow perhaps the development of Sprinter going forward.
Yeah, sure. So right now you can on Steam Greenlight. I think the link will be in the description of this video, but
yes.
You can also search on Steam Greenlight for Sprinter. It should be the only result that comes up. Or I believe maybe another game called Rhino 2 comes up. So vote for both if you want.
Yeah, it's free. You might as well.
Yeah. So currently I'm doing quite well on Greenlight, and
Excellent.
to be honest, I'm expecting it to be greenlit very soon. But if it isn't, definitely check it out. And your vote would literally mean the world to me. So it's given me a chance to share this game with as many people as possible. And I'm Idris Makes Games on Twitter.
Yep.
Idris Makes Games on Tumblr.
Yep.
Idris Makes Games on Facebook. And there will also be a website at the end of this month called Sprinter the Game or idrismakesgames.com. I'll get both domains just in case.
Yeah.
Where you can buy the game, see the final trailer, and get all those links to the Facebook, Twitter, and blog that I just mentioned. So that'll be happening at the end of this month, which will also be when the game is complete as well. So I will be also running some beta tests throughout December on forums such as TigSource, IndieDB, and Unity forums. I don't know why I forgot Unity.
Yeah. Of course,
Unity forums. But this is probably information overload, so that'll do.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, thanks for your time, Idris. It's been great talking about this, and I wish you all the luck in the world of this venture. It's certainly something that I'll be voting and greenlighting. I hope the guys at home get behind this as well, and we can see it on the Steam store very shortly. You guys at home, if you like this video, obviously hit the like button. If you wish to subscribe and see more Dimp Digital content, hit the subscribe button, as we'll be posting new content every single week. Nothing more for us to say here apart from thanks for your time and ta-da.